This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by cdevolution.org.
Hey, what's going on here?
Jailed indie reporter Sam Dodson has had harsh things to say about the Cheshire County Jail in New Hampshire. He says that as of May '09, conditions were sweltering, unsanitary, and unsafe. Here are some more of my observations from inside the same facility. I was closeted there for 6 days in early July for the same quote-unquote crime that Sam committed. I refused to turn my camera off in the Keene District Court lobby. We'll pick up with day 2 of my experience, which was much milder than Sam's apparent experience. At roughly 1 a.m. on my second day in the facility, I am woken from sleep and told to leave my temporary cell in the processing area. I and my likable cellmate are taken to an area known as the SHU, the Special Housing Unit. It's a block of 5 solitary confinement cells. It is located on the 2nd floor. It faces, roughly speaking, the jail parking lot, and some of the cells can actually see to the parking lot. I'm locked into one of these roughly 4 by 12 cells and resume my sleep. Every 2 hours or so, a guard appears in the area of our cell block and shines a flashlight into each of our eyes. Presumably, they're checking to see if we're alive. I'm awoken at roughly 6 a.m. for breakfast. I believe if you don't get up at that time for breakfast, you don't get breakfast. The temperature in this confined space is relatively comfortable, around 78 degrees. Apparently, authorities have begun operating their air conditioning system, a system which Sam Dodson says was out of action while he was there. In this cell, I am destined to spend 23 hours of every day in the facility. That, it turns out, is their penalty for refusing to answer 2/3 of questions. Unlike the Essex jail in Massachusetts, they do not spend time trying to change my behavior. They just put me here and ignore me. Without any fuss, without much in the way of threats. I begin acquainting myself with my blockmates. I can't see any of them, but there are roughly 2 or 3 other people on the same cell block, and I can hear them. One is the man who refused to pay a fine in protest. He was my cellmate downstairs. Another is a man who pretended to be a U.S. Marshal. That guy was all over the papers. And there is a young man who says he was jailed for spitting in his girlfriend's face. I begin getting to know these people without being able to see them. As the day wears on, they tell me they believe they are getting better treatment because of my presence. They say since I'm a journalist, they figure the authorities know I'm going to write about them. Requests for assistance begin to pile up. See if you can get us better food. One of them has built a chessboard out of toilet paper. That gives each of us the opportunity to play chess with any blockmate who is jailed in a cell next to us. I received my first mail on July 8th. Day 2. It's roughly 8 pieces of mail. Most of them come from Mail to Jail. Mail-to-jail.com. Something that rhymes with com. One is from Sam Dodson himself. And it's a postcard with a picture of Martin Luther King. I put it up on the wall. It has a quote. Freedom is never free, but is purchased with the high price of sacrifice and suffering, unquote. A detainee claiming to be a vegan claims a successful 5-day hunger strike against meat-laden food. I'm given an opportunity to order from the commissary, and I make a mistake you can learn from.
If you disobey, you might get disorderly. I am Dave Ridley.
When I came into the jail, I had only $3 in my pocket. This money, rather than being confiscated, was placed into my canteen account. I probably should have brought just a little bit more. I learned that to buy stamps, you have to buy a full book, and that costs almost $5. The other option is buying a stamped envelope, which is relatively expensive. It turns out that stamps are not allowed to be sent to inmates. I do think it's good not to bring too much money, but you also don't want to bring too little. I also discover a new way activists can be even more effective at supporting a jailed activist. If you send mail the day before an activist goes into jail, or early on the day that the activist goes into jail, they should get it on their second day of jail. Maybe even their first day. This helps send a message to authorities earlier on, and it lifts the morale of the inmate earlier on. So next time we have an activist that's planning to go into jail on a certain day, we should plan on sending them mail at the earliest possible second. For me, at the Cheshire County Jail on the western side of New Hampshire, I discovered that I am receiving almost all mail exactly one day after it is sent, one business day, for what that's worth. Of course, most of that is coming from Derry, New Hampshire, where Mail to Jail is located, about 70 miles east. More ideas for improving our activist support when this series continues. Have the stories of civil disobedience in New Hampshire inspired you? Are you frustrated at your inability to participate? Well, be frustrated no longer. Now you can pitch in. The Civil Disobedience Evolution Fund allows you to assist these gutsy activists as they make a stand for your liberties. Find out more at cdevolution.org.